Stop. Before you decide to skip over this video, there's something I need you to do first. Reflect on the last time you were chatting with a woman, completely baffled about what was going on in her mind. You find yourself standing there, trying to gauge the atmosphere, questioning whether she's genuinely interested or simply being courteous. Not to mention, afterward, you replay the conversation in your thoughts countless times, second-guessing every little detail. Here's the reality that rarely gets shared. She was providing you with answers the whole time, not through words, but through her body language. And here's the intriguing part. Scientists have actually conducted studies to back this up. Research from UCLA indicates that up to 93% of human communication is nonverbal, which means that the words, something many guys fixate on, make up only 7% of the actual message conveyed. She was communicating in a language you just didn't know how to interpret. But that's about to change, as in this video, I'm going to dissect the specific physical cues that women exhibit when they're attracted to someone. These aren't mere theories, they are well-documented, researched behavioral patterns. Once you recognize them, you won't be able to overlook them. Just a heads up, what you're about to discover will radically transform how you perceive every interaction with women moving forward. Stick around, because the third signal I'll mention will catch everyone off guard, even therapists. Now, here's something genuinely intriguing about human attraction. Women are biologically and socially much more adept at communication than men. Behavioral psychology studies consistently reveal that women utilize a greater number of nonverbal cues, facial microexpressions, and subtle physical signals in social interactions than men do. This isn't a stereotype, it's supported by decades of research. Yet somehow the world of dating advice has largely concentrated on teaching men what to say to women instead of what to observe. Isn't that a bit ironic? You receive a script. Say this opener, use that line, respond with this comeback, all while the woman in front of you is practically waving a sign saying, "I'm interested" or "I'm not," just through her posture, eye contact, and even the position of her feet. Yes, her feet. Don't worry, we'll touch on that. The great news is, once you grasp what to look for, everything becomes clearer. The anxiety dissipates. The second-guessing ceases. You transition from viewing each conversation as a guessing game to recognizing it for what it truly is, a two-way exchange where both individuals are constantly communicating, whether they're aware of it or not. So let's outline how this video will unfold. We'll examine the key body language signals individually, delve into the science that explains why they occur, what they convey in real-life situations, and, crucially, how to distinguish between genuine attraction signals and simple friendliness. Yes, that distinction is immensely important, and many men miss it. Let's get started. We'll kick things off with something so fleeting, so quick, that most people hardly register it. Yet, your brain picks up on it. This is known as the eyebrow flash. When someone spots a person they're genuinely pleased to see or are attracted to, their eyebrows instinctively rise for a split second. We're talking about a quarter of a second, or even less. It's an involuntary micro-expression, which is precisely what makes it so valuable. You can feign a smile or enthusiasm, but you can't fake the eyebrow flash. Anthropologist Irene Abelfelt devoted years to studying this across various continents and cultures, including isolated tribes in Papua New Guinea, communities in Africa, and populations in Europe and Asia. She discovered that the eyebrow flash is a universal human greeting signal linked to recognition, approval, and indeed, attraction. It's not confined to one culture, it belongs to us all. Here's how this plays out in reality. You enter a room and make eye contact with a woman across the way. In that instant, before even a smile graces her face, her eyebrows subtly lift for a moment. Then they settle back down, and a smile emerges. That sequence is not mere coincidence, it's biology at work. Now, it's crucial to understand the distinction. A neutral glance doesn't create an eyebrow flash. A courteous acknowledgement doesn't trigger it either. However, true pleasure at seeing someone or finding them visually appealing nearly always produces it. So next time you lock eyes with a woman from across the room, don't just anticipate the smile. Look for that fleeting lift that occurs half a second before. That slight, almost undetectable movement is the genuine signal. Now, let's discuss something more nuanced, yet incredibly telling once you grasp it. Here's a fundamental truth about human psychology. We instinctively safeguard our personal space from individuals we don't feel comfortable around. Personal space isn't merely a social nicety, it's an ingrained protective instinct rooted in our survival. If someone feels unsafe, threatened, or even indifferent towards another, their body naturally adjusts to maintain maximum distance. Conversely, when a woman is attracted to someone, she often, without even realizing it, gradually reduces the physical distance over the course of a conversation. This doesn't entail a dramatic leap. Rather, it's a gradual, nearly imperceptible movement. A small step forward while laughing, a slight lean forward during a point made, or a subtle shift in her seat that brings her just a bit closer. Social psychologists refer to this as proximity-seeking behavior, and it serves as one of the clearest nonverbal indicators of genuine interest because it occurs unconsciously. She's not thinking, "I should move closer to show attraction." Her body is simply reacting to the emotional pull she feels. Now here's an important test. If you subtly move back, perhaps shift your weight or take a small step backward, does she maintain her position, or does she drift forward to close the gap again? If she moves closer, even a little, that communicates volumes. If she doesn't and appears relieved by the added space, that communicates just as much. This signal works as a two-way diagnostic and is entirely natural to test, as you're not doing anything peculiar, just adjusting your stance. The space between two people during a conversation isn't neutral, it conveys information. Now, this is the signal I hinted at earlier. Frankly, when I first encountered this research, I had to read it twice. Your feet are reportedly the most truthful part of your body. Here's why. We expend immense mental energy managing our facial expressions. Since childhood, we've been conditioned to control our faces, smile politely, don't appear bored, exhibit engagement. We also consciously adjust our posture, hand gestures, and tone of voice. However, no one teaches us to manage our feet. Nobody stands in front of a mirror practicing foot direction. Hence, the feet tend to communicate the truth. Body language expert Joe Navarro, a former FBI agent who has spent decades interpreting nonverbal cues during interrogations and authored a best-selling book on the subject, identified foot pointing as one of the most dependable indicators of a person's actual interest or desire. His conclusion: people point their feet toward what they desire and away from what they want to escape. Let's put this into a real-world scenario. Imagine you're at a gathering, conversing with a woman who is smiling, making eye contact, and responding well to your conversation. Everything seems to be progressing positively. However, if you subtly glance down, without making it uncomfortable, and notice her feet are angled away from you, perhaps toward the exit or another group, that's her body being honest when her face is being polite. Conversely, if her feet are directed right at you, even if she seems a bit withdrawn or quiet, her body has already made its preference clear. This insight is almost a cheat code because people rarely consider their feet. They focus on managing their face, words, and hands, but the feet are on autopilot, naturally pointing toward whatever or whoever they are genuinely drawn to. I'll reiterate, the feet don't lie. Now let's discuss something deeply embedded in the science of human connection: mirroring. Mirroring occurs when one person unconsciously adopts the body language, posture, gestures, or even speech patterns of the individual they are interacting with. This is a neurological phenomenon tied to something known as mirror neurons, a system in the brain that effectively mimics others' actions and emotional states. Mirroring takes place among close friends, family members, and between two people who share an attraction. Research published in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology found that individuals who feel a strong connection with someone are significantly more likely to mirror their movements, often within seconds of observing the behavior. Crucially, neither party is usually conscious of this phenomenon. So what does this look like in practice? You take a sip of your drink, she takes a sip of hers a few moments later. You lean back in your chair, she leans back too. You chuckle and tilt your head, she mirrors the tilt. You cross your arms and she crosses hers. The exciting part is that you can intentionally test this. Change your posture slightly, not dramatically, just naturally, and observe if she adjusts within the next minute or so. If she mirrors you consistently, it indicates that her brain has decided it likes you and is trying to synchronize with you. This is one of the most potent signals since it occurs beneath the level of conscious awareness. It isn't about performing or polite behavior. It's her nervous system signaling, I want to align with this person. That's significant. The mouth is incredibly expressive, though not always in the anticipated ways. Most focus on smiles, that's evident. However, more revealing signals manifest between expressions, specifically in two areas: lip compression and lip parting. Lip compression, where someone briefly presses their lips together into a thin line, signals stress. When a woman exhibits this during a conversation with you, it often indicates internal tension or conflict. This tension could suggest she's nervous due to attraction and is trying to maintain composure, or it could imply discomfort. Context is crucial. Nevertheless, if you observe lip compression alongside positive signals like eye contact and proximity, it suggests nervousness, good nervousness. Conversely, lip parting represents the opposite signal, and arguably, it's even more informative. A slight, brief parting of the lips, almost as if she's about to say something but holds back, has been associated in behavioral research with heightened emotional arousal. Dr. Desmond Morris, one of the most cited behavioral scientists in human body language, recognized this as a sign of genuine emotional engagement. It often occurs just after someone finds another person notably attractive. It's involuntary and happens quickly, but once you know what to look for, you'll spot it. The practical takeaway? If you're in conversation and you notice her lips part slightly while gazing at you, followed by a gentle smile, she's not merely being polite. Something internal is occurring that she might not have fully acknowledged yet. This brings us to a concept known in behavioral science as autocontact behavior, commonly referred to as self-touching. And just to clarify, we're talking about actions like touching her neck, playing with her hair, adjusting her clothing, or lightly touching her collarbone. These behaviors serve two primary functions. Firstly, they act as a form of self-soothing during heightened emotional moments. When someone feels excited or attracted, their nervous system may be activated, leading to increased heart rates and altered breathing patterns, with self-touching serving as a means to self-regulate. Secondly, and intriguingly, these behaviors essentially serve as the human equivalent of a peacock preening its feathers. They are appearance maintenance behaviors triggered by a subconscious desire to look appealing in front of someone they are attracted to. If you notice a woman lightly running her fingers through her hair while speaking with you, adjusting her neckline, touching her collarbone, or frequently smoothing her clothing, she's not bored. Her brain has recognized you as someone worth impressing, and her body is responding accordingly. What's even more insightful is tracking when these behaviors peak. If they seem to intensify right when you make eye contact or immediately after you say something funny, the timing is essentially a direct response to you. You have triggered that reaction. Everyone knows that extended eye contact can signal attraction, which isn't a new concept. However, what many overlook is that it's not just the duration of eye contact that counts, it's what transpires during it. Normal, relaxed eye contact in a casual conversation averages around 3 seconds before a natural break occurs. Once you extend that to 5, 6, or 7 seconds, it shifts from casual to either awkward or intimate. The distinguishing factor is the expression behind the eyes. Behavioral scientists refer to something called the soft gaze, an unfocused, warm quality to eye contact that differs from a hard, analytical stare. A soft gaze suggests that the person is emotionally present. They're not just looking at you, they're genuinely absorbing your presence. Now here's the twist that most don't discuss: the triangle gaze. This is a specific eye movement pattern extensively studied in attraction research. When someone is attracted to another, their eyes typically follow a triangular path, moving from one eye to the other, dropping briefly to the mouth, and then back up to the eyes. This motion occurs naturally and repeatedly, indicating that the brain is physically drawn to the other person's face. So, the next time you're in conversation and notice her eyes subtly traveling in this pattern, eyes, mouth, Eyes. It's not distraction. It's attraction literally mapped out through eye movements, as though the body is checking twice to ensure that what it sees is real. Here's something that will alter your perspective on laughter. It's one of the most socially intricate behaviors we exhibit. We laugh out of genuine amusement, yes, but we also laugh to signal camaraderie, ease tension, demonstrate belonging, and, importantly in this context, to imply attraction. Research from Vanderbilt University found that women are significantly more inclined to laugh at jokes made by men they find appealing, even when those jokes are no funnier than those told by men they don't find attractive. In essence, attraction enhances a person's comedic appeal. Now, for a more subtle indicator, the echo laugh. This occurs when she laughs slightly after a room has already moved on from the joke. Your punchline lands, people chuckle, and then, a moment later, she's still smiling or releases a soft laugh for herself, almost as if she's still reveling in its enjoyment. That delayed, intimate quality to her laughter frequently indicates that the humor resonated with her personally, not just socially. Combine that with her instinctively turning to you during a group laugh, making a point to engage directly with you when everyone else finds something funny, and you have a clear understanding of where you stand in her social hierarchy at that moment. If you're the one she looks at when laughter ensues, you're already a step ahead. Physical touch is perhaps the most straightforward nonverbal signal of all, but the most intriguing kind often isn't a deliberate touch. It's the accidental one. This encompasses a brush of her hand against yours while reaching for something, a fleeting touch on your arm for emphasis, or the knee that makes contact beneath a table and lingers just a moment longer than necessary. The shoulder bump while walking side by side exemplifies this. These so-called accidental touches typically follow a specific pattern in attraction research. They arise during moments of heightened emotion, laughter, an engaging conversation, a time when rapport is building, and are almost always accompanied by a glance checking your reaction. That glance is the giveaway. A genuinely accidental touch serves either an apology or an utter disregard, while a strategic accidental touch is met with a look that seems to ask, "Did you notice? How did that feel?" What happens next matters. If you respond warmly, maintain eye contact slightly longer, and smile genuinely, she'll interpret that as a positive signal. On the other hand, if you pull back or appear uncomfortable, she may withdraw and retreat to polite distance. The accidental touch is her way of gauging the situation. You get to define the atmosphere. Now, let's discuss something that traces back to primate behavior, a fascinating indication that this instinct still operates among modern humans. Exposing the neck is one of the oldest vulnerability signals in mammalian behavior. The neck houses vital arteries, making it one of the body's most vulnerable areas. To expose it communicates trust, openness, and lack of threat. In the context of attraction, this signal takes it a step further. When a woman tilts her head to one side during a conversation, revealing the side of her neck, behavioral scientists consistently interpret this as a sign of openness, interest, and attraction. It conveys a biological sense of submissiveness, indicating, "I'm not guarded around you." This gesture often accompanies a smile or soft eye contact and typically appears in moments of genuine comfort and warmth. In contrast, a woman who maintains a straight neck, level chin, and unturned head presents a more neutral or guarded posture, neither negative nor positive necessarily, but certainly not the same open signal. Here's a subtle detail that enhances this clarity. If she exposes her neck and then lightly touches it herself, you've decoded two signals at once: vulnerability plus self-soothing, driven by a heightened emotional response. Without uttering a single word, her body conveys attraction. Now, here's the most crucial thing I can share about all of this. Never assess one signal in isolation. Body language doesn't function like a checklist, where one item correlates directly with one conclusion. It operates in clusters. A single touch doesn't confirm attraction. Extended eye contact could simply indicate confidence. Hair touching alone might be a nervous habit. But when you observe 3, 4, 5 of these signals occurring together during the same conversation, building one upon another, consistent over time, that's when the picture begins to clear. The body functions as a system. When attraction is present, that system illuminates across multiple channels simultaneously, her feet pointing toward you, she mirroring your posture, laughing and making direct eye contact, continuously seeking small opportunities to close the distance between you. That's not coincidence. That's chemistry manifesting itself through biology. Another important factor to consider is that context informs everything. A woman who engages with you in a crowded room isn't necessarily conveying attraction if her surroundings don't support it. Observe her behavior relative to the environment she's in and allow the context to guide your interpretations. Understanding these signals can lead to more profound connections and interactions in your social and romantic pursuits.